Good morning, world. This is Mike Morse. Welcome to another episode of Open Mic.
Joining us this morning is Mike Morse, Detroit's top 30. Mike Morse is in here to tell us about the backpack giveaway.
Adapt and change things up a little bit every year.
My co-host Kevin Dietz is here and back, and welcome, Kevin. I'm so glad you're here.
Good to see you again.
And our first guest this morning, Peter Woll.
Good morning.
Good morning, Peter. So, Peter and I have known each other for how many years, Peter?
40.
I think
35.
Did we know each other in high school? Did you ever beat me up and throw me in a garbage can in high school?
I think you talked about my mullet. Any problem with that?
You
got that corrected.
Yes, I did. So thanks for the
what
curse.
What happened to the mullet?
The curse.
You were a senior, I think, and I was a freshman. Did we ever figure that out, or maybe 1 year off?
Maybe,
Okay.
yeah.
You were one of those older, cool kids. I went to school, I think, with your sisters.
Sure.
You and I became close friends after some bad things happened in our lives. Both their dads died within 6, 8, 9 months of each other in the early 90s, 1990, 89, 90, 91. Don't cry, Peter.
Thanks, Mike. Really?
Peter, tissues, please. Newman, can I have some Kleenex?
Still hurts.
Peter has one of the best sense of humors if you're not going to figure this out soon. Peter and I became best friends. Peter was the best man at my wedding.
Yes, I was.
I remember that speech well. So impromptu, and I want you.
It seems like there's a story there somewhere.
We could go on for about 10 hours. So the first question is, Peter, I'd like you to reenact the speech.
Can I ask you why you have the Stat Disaster book? I've been on that for about 10 years. And there's
You've been on Stat.
The Stat Disaster.
So we had Dr. Joel Kahn on.
Oh, great.
So basically, you don't remember the speech. But it was a good speech. You talked about my cleanliness and my hygiene.
He's very clean.
And
his teeth are free of poppy seeds.
You were
always.
It was a great speech.
Thank you.
Is
there a way to get headphones that don't cover your hair up? Though I don't understand that either.
You know,
it's not,
because you think it's ruining my hair.
Yeah,
people can't see it.
I have hair envy.
It's authentic. It's supposed to look like this.
I walked into the gym the other day with Peter. We do an Orange Theory. We didn't know we were going together, and I walk in, and my hair is bedheaded, and it's all over the place. He says,
awesome.
God, what would I give for bedhead? Right in front of everybody.
And bed skin.
It was pretty darn funny.
Were you wearing the headphones at the gym?
No, it was just natural, but it was all over the place. And
sleepy head.
Peter always talks about my head, my hair.
Blessed.
So Peter Woll, or Peter Walls, as I like to call him sometimes.
Yep.
Like Myers and Ford's.
Yes, sir.
So Peter is an accomplished attorney as well as being a fantastic friend and all-around good guy. You've been doing workers' compensation law in Michigan for how many years?
Over 30. If you count my clerking, about 33 years.
And your father was a workers' comp lawyer, one of the first ones in the state.
Well, he was one of the first ones in the state.
And wasn't he a trailblazer in that field?
It did start in the turn of the last century, so he wasn't around like 1910.
No, but he was a trailblazer when it came to comp laws.
He was workers' comp, 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s.
Right.
Died young, 54.
So, Kevin doesn't know much about workers' comp. And
Says who?
all right, Kevin, what's workers' comp? Kevin, what's the workers' comp law?
All right, here's what I know about workers' comp. It's not a lot, but here's what I know about it. When I was doing TV, I used to get calls from PIs, and they would show me fabulous videos of people faking workers' comp. They would show me these videos of people who had filed for workers' comp, and they're out digging in the garden and carrying bags of things. And so I know that workers' comp involves being injured on the job.
So you're a pawn of the insurance companies.
I am.
That baloney. That is very rare. When the insurance companies love when they show your excerpts of people golfing because it's really rare. They want everybody to think that it's all fraud.
Right.
So,
and what percentage is fraud and what percentage is not?
I can tell right away. Very little.
Yeah.
Very little. But the insurance companies want you, to watch your videos of the guy golfing or,
That's what they want.
And that is their propaganda to make people think that everybody's a fraud in workers' comp.
Right.
So
That's what they want people to think when they think of workers' comp.
Absolutely.
Well, they're doing a good job. Can you correct that?
I'm trying to.
Let's do
people
it.
will call me, they feel guilty about getting the benefits that they're entitled to because they got hurt at work and they can't earn their wage.
Okay.
This is not pain and suffering. This is to pay you while you're off and can't feed your family.
Now, real people I know who've gone through workers' comp are photographers who carry these cameras, or they're walking backwards while we're doing a story. They trip on the ice and they fall. They hurt their shoulders. They get surgery. Things happen to them, and they have to go out for a few weeks or longer. And I know that offsets the pay if they're gone too long, right?
So one quick differentiation, and I think this is a good learning moment for people out there. So the misperception. So what I do when I do auto accidents and truck accidents and dog bites, it is about pain and suffering. There is an economic component, but the biggest component is the pain and suffering lifestyle change. In workers' comp, there is none of that. It's just for your wages and your medical bills and a little bit of mileage here and there, but nothing else.
Right.
So it's not about getting rich. It's not about doing anything else. They're not usually. I mean, there's very little fraud, as Peter said. So, Peter, explain to us, if somebody's injured on the job, what are their rights in Michigan?
I want to say one thing. People call me every day and they go, I don't want to do, they've been off for weeks and they don't feel good about, I don't want to sue. I don't believe in lawsuits. The insurance companies want people to think that. They want to keep the premium. So what happens if you're injured at work, regardless of how it happens, if you didn't intend to hurt yourself and you hurt yourself and you can't earn your money, you can't earn your wage, you're supposed to get wage loss and medical until you go back to work. The only thing anybody's going to look at, did you get hurt at work, and how long are you not going to be able to make your money? And that is workers' comp right there.
So
I don't have to prove negligence like you do to get pain and suffering.
So you don't have to prove anything except it was related to work.
Yes.
It has to be a work injury.
The language is arising out of and in the course of your employment. That's the definition.
So does this make sense? So the only reason you'd be fraudulent about this is if it didn't actually happen at work. It happened somewhere else, but you wanted it to look like it happened at work. Or you just don't want to work, so you're going to fake an injury.
I mean,
which is pretty unlikely.
I've been in the biz for
fraud.
30 years.
You do that.
To commit fraud is crime.
You're not getting money, a lot of money for this.
Right.
Even if you win your case, you're not getting a ton of money.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to stay off and not be able to pay my bills, but just to hang in there, because these cases could take over a year. You're not going to see a lot of fraud. These are people that are desperate.
It doesn't make sense to commit fraud, really.
So why do they need a lawyer, Peter? Why doesn't the system work? Okay, Mr. Employer, I was injured on the job. I can't work. Pay my wages, pay my medical bills. When I feel better, I'll come back to work. Why do they need a lawyer?
So if you get hurt at work, you got to tell your employer. The employer is supposed to tell and report it to their insurance company. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to report it. A lot of times the insurance company, I guess that's the nature of the business, is just to ignore you. I see that every day. Or to say no, that you have an old injury. And so they didn't see you hurt yourself at work, and they deny you. And I think 40% of the people just don't do anything about it. Okay, the people need to do something about it.
They just take the loss. They just say,
the insurance company, which is a quasi-official, governmental agency or someone with authority, if they say no, that means I'm not entitled to anything. I hear that every day.
I don't get it. So somebody's injured on the job. They have to notify their employer, first step.
Yes.
Do they have to see an employer-chosen doctor, or can they go to their own physician?
So here's where we're going to get into that. When you get hurt at work, a lot of things have changed. If you want to talk about the last governor, his name is Governor Schneider. He's changed a lot. He's I think directly working for the Chamber of Commerce. He's made it way more difficult for people to get benefits. And I don't want to spit on your floor when I mention his name. He's my Heyman.
Thank you. Don't.
Thank you. Do you have a spittoon or something
I
I can
have a
do?
spittoon.
Thank you, Kevin.
Right, so you're not a fan of the ex-governor Snyder.
Here's the thing. It's an insurance company. Within the first 28 days, you got to go to their doctor. They're Concentra. Folks around town watching this, they've heard of Concentra, because whenever you get hurt anywhere in the city, they're always going to send you to these places where I wouldn't send, I'm not going to say my pet because they're family members, I wouldn't send my enemy to these places. But you're going to get sent to a Concentra who works for the insurance company.
And these are alleged doctors.
Allegedly?
And they're going to basically say you're fine, go back to work.
They're going to do the research to see and go through a checklist to see if you have old injuries or, say you can go back to work or say you have a cut when you have a broken leg. It's absurd, but you got to go because
so
28 days you got to go to their
So
meeting.
if you had an injury as a kid playing sports or something, they're going to say, no, that's related to when you were 15. That's not related to when you were 50.
No, they're not going to say that. They're going to say, wait, well, you had a sports injury when you were 15, I see. There's historically, so this is the old injury. This is not the new injury. All the time. 20 years could go by between your last injury. You could be fine working. They find out about it. They use that as a reason to deny your benefits.
So they're doing everything they can to not pay your claim.
Absolutely.
So for the first 28 days, you can't go see your family doctor.
If they're not allowing you to see your own doctor, you're supposed to go within 28 days to see their doctor. If it's an emergency, you're going to go to the emergency room. They're not going to pay for it. You're supposed to go to their people. Now, guess what? Governor Schneider used to be 10 days. That was more reasonable. Now it's 28 days that you're going to see their doctors.
And if their doctors say you're fine, go back to work, but you don't feel you're fine, what is a person to do?
Well, if you're not, after 8 days, getting your wage loss and you're going to be off for a while, you're going to have to call me because the insurance company is going to go with what Concentra says and not pay you.
And then what do they do once they call you?
Once they call me, I'm going to try to get you the benefits that you're supposed to get when you can't earn your wage because you got hurt at work. And I'm going to file a case for you and not get paid unless I get you something.
Is there a separate court for this, or does this go through the regular system?
Good question. There's an it's a separate jurisdiction. It's the Workers' Comp Agency. It used to be the Workers' Comp Bureau. It used to be called Workman's Comp, believe it or not, until the 70s, and they'd officially change it because women get hurt at work as well. No joke. So yeah, it's
Workman's comp, and now it's workers' comp.
It used to be Workman's Comp.
Interesting.
So when I was a kid growing up, my dad's a Workman's Comp lawyer.
And women had no rights?
Women did not work.
So
Absurd.
Okay, so they call you and they're not getting their wages. Nobody's paying their medical bills. They have health insurance through work, maybe. So they can find a doctor who will take their health insurance, so at least they can get some treatment during this time, but they're not getting wages. So they're either forced to have no money or forced to go back to work injured. What other choices are there?
I'm going to say floating in space. Okay, that's the floating in space. No one's paying for your treatment. You're going to use the piece of paper the insurance company gives you to deny it to use your regular insurance. I'm going to quote Malcolm X, by any means necessary. You're going to get the treatment by any means necessary, even though your regular health insurance is not the appropriate form of insurance to pay for something. You're going to use the denial and never change your history that this is from work and use that to pay for it. And they become part of my case to get them paid back.
And it takes approximately a year to finally get them their benefits?
So, we used to have, there used to be a lot of courts and a lot of judges. This is one of the areas which they decided to cut some costs. They consolidated. They closed down Mount Clemens. If I go to Detroit, there's only 4 judges. For anybody who gets hurt living in Wayne County, Macomb County, Washtenaw County, and Monroe County, 4. So they got about 50 cases a day, and we got to get in line. This is your remedy. It's slow. It's a slow remedy, Mike.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
So, and this is your specialty. You do no other type of law. You've never done another type of law. This is all you do.
I have done relatives traffic tickets. I'm usually good at getting.
Are you good at that? Should people call you for that?
Impeding traffic. I've never not gotten impeding traffic.
Oh, you got like a perfect record for that.
Yes.
Congratulations.
I'm workers' comp. My dad was workers' comp. It is a good old boys club. I'm there every day.
No women?
There are women.
So it's a
I
good
welcome
old
women. There are women judges.
People club?
Good old lawyers club.
It's a good old lawyers club. There's people that were at my bar mitzvah. Okay, that are there. There are still there's 90-year-old guys that still do this work.
How come I wasn't at your bar mitzvah?
You're too young.
Where was your bar mitzvah?
It was at the Raleigh House.
Oh,
if everybody remembers,
I
I have the
remember.
suit
On Telegraph.
Yeah,
Nice.
I
Telegraph.
worked there for a minute and a half.
Did you really?
Yep.
As a busboy?
No, as a bartender.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was it was a union. That was my only union
Oh my
gig.
goodness.
I'm not kidding. There's a different story for another day.
I knew you as a waiter at Merriweather's, and you were the best.
Thank
you were the best.
Well, and I
You
never
knew how to get the tips.
I worked as a bartender. Did you ever work as a bartender?
I never have.
I think that's my second favorite job I ever had because you just talk to so many people and you're just able to interact.
Is that Detroit?
I worked at a Bennigan's in Southfield, not far
nice.
from here, and then I worked down in Detroit at River Rock, it was called. You remember that place?
Absolutely.
That place was hot.
Saw the King Bees there. My mistake. I love that place.
And then I worked for a short time at the Soup Kitchen Saloon, which was pretty cool. But
Love that place too.
But then I had to go back to school.
So Bennigan's used to be a favorite of a divorced dad Thursday nights. Did you ever
Yes.
do that?
Fried ice cream? Yeah.
Yeah. We used to go to Bennigan's and the TGIF, the
big time.
Fridays
And
all the
Chinese on
delis.
Sunday.
Chinese on Sundays.
Stage.
Not sure how we got from workers' comp to waiting tables and
I see
bartending.
you have
but
a recipe for Caesar salad dressing.
you want to talk about Caesar salads?
Sure.
I know. I got the best Caesar salad dressing. My mom wants me to bring it to Thanksgiving dinner. I told her no.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, Merriweather's bringing back really good memories. I've actually thought about writing a book about all the things that I learned about working in the restaurant business. I have so many great stories. I learned how to read people, which translates into reading juries. I've learned how to read the energy of a table when you walk up to it. Do they want a funny waiter? Do they want an informative waiter? Do they want a back off waiter? And I did that for so many years that when I am with clients, when I'm in front of juries, even judges, wherever I'm at, I kind of know, how to be. It's kind of like a chameleon, and it helps me in life, and it's helped me in my practice. And if anybody's listening out there, I always look when I'm interviewing people. I love to see restaurant jobs on my on the resumes because they can multitask, they can deal with people, they can problem solve. They're not afraid of sweat and running around
Stress.
and hard work and stress. So restaurant jobs is something that I love to see on resumes. That's a hiring tip right there if you want to become good at being a lawyer, I guess.
I'm not just trying to spill
Or anything.
smoke. I mean, I wasn't really good friends with you. It was a memorable meal. I'm not
Well,
joking.
what do you remember? I don't
know.
remember. Tell me.
You had
How do you feel about it
You
today?
gave the one free dessert, move, for the tip. I mean, we had a good time. I was just, newly friends with you, and
Right.
it was fun.
The free dessert. So
Yeah.
we were allowed to do that, but you could
I know
also
that.
make it sound like it was coming from the waiter.
Right.
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 So hey, nobody's around.
a
Here's
feel-good move.
here's your dessert with 4 forks, and they loved it, and you always got a little bit bigger of a tip.
Sure.
Or another move, like the menu would say, you can't get a soup instead of the salad. The menu said it right there. But they'd say, hey, do you care if I got the soup instead of the salad? I look, well, the manager's not around, no problem. And the managers didn't care. It was the same price. It just, I don't know why the menu said it. But people like to think, it's a perceived value, free, and they love it, and they take it, they give the credit to the waiter or waitress.
Would they ask to sit in your section then, people?
Yeah, all the time. I had a lot of regulars. But it was great. I was in the restaurant business for over 8 years, and one of my pet peeves, I don't know if, let me ask you guys this. Whenever I go to dinner or lunch with people, mostly dinner, they look at the waiter or waitress and they say, what's good? What should I get? Everybody does this these days. Like they want an affirmation of what they should order rather than just making an order. Like it's a life decision.
Like, is this thing
like a
any
huge
good?
decision. If I get a bad meal, oh my God. And I look at my friends and family and I'm like, just what do they care?
As an insider, were you instructed to always recommend like something like chop suey, something no one would ever order?
We got to
No.
get rid of. We
You're
got to
not
push.
selling
We got
enough
to push
of
the
it or
chop
what?
suey.
No,
It's
no,
going
no.
bad
It's
in
a
2
very
days.
good question. You were always told to push the specials,
Right.
but let's talk about economics for a second. There were dishes for $12,
Right.
a chicken, and there was a $24 salmon, $24 tuna. So if I sold a $24 tuna, that if they gave me 20%, that's about a $5 tip.
Sure.
If I sold the chicken, that's about a $2.40 tip on just that meal. What do you think the waiters are going to push?
You're biased.
Have you ever seen a waiter
It's
pushing the
upselling.
cheapest?
It's upselling.
Have you ever seen a waiter or waitress push the cheapest stuff on the menu or the cheapest glass of wine?
Never.
I mean, and the other day I'm at a fish place. I'm in Myrtle Beach with some friends, and we're at a seminar. I'm giving a speech. We sit down at this big table. People are asking, "What should I get? What should I get?" She's kind of tepid about what she should recommend.
Gotta get that baby
I got
off of there.
Sorry.
I got excited.
We are.
He loves
being
Myrtle
getting
Beach.
excited.
He loves
I'm
Myrtle
like, what do you do,
Beach.
Kevin? You're a professional.
So
We tried to give him the
we
single.
got some schmutz. Schmutz. We need to come up with a better single. You're both panicking. You got shit in your
Foaming
face.
at the mouth.
Do I have anything in my teeth?
You're good.
You're looking
Okay.
good. Myrtle Beach.
So anyway, they're going on and on to this waitress about what they should get, and she's giving these kind of bullshitty answers. And I look at her and I said, "You don't eat fish, do you?" Now, mind you, this is a fish restaurant. Newman, am I telling a true story? You were with me. So
Newman got invited.
Newman, are
Did
you
get invited?
thanks a
Mike?
lot, man.
Can they hear you over there? Probably not. No. Okay. So Newman said, "I'm telling the truth," and I said, "You don't eat fish, do you?" She says, "Well, actually, I'm a vegan." So here we are, a group of 6 or 7 people asking for fish advice from a vegan who's never tried the fish. This happens all the time. You're asking waiters and waitresses what's good. They're just going to make it up, or they're going to tell you what's expensive. And the better question is, what's popular? What do people come back for? What do people give you good feedback on? What dishes are people really enjoying? I like that question better if you need that affirmation and you can't make a decision.
So when you ask that question, what's popular, they're still going to lie and try to sell what's
I hope
upsell
not.
and
Maybe.
what's the most expensive.
Maybe.
I had breakfast yesterday with a guy, and he ordered 4 egg whites and sunny side egg on top of it and blueberries.
That's weird.
It is what I said. That's not on the menu, right? He goes, everything's on the menu. I don't ever look at a menu. I just order what I want. They're restaurants. They have everything. They have all the ingredients for whatever you want.
Did you put ketchup on it?
He did not.
People put ketchup on eggs all the time. But
in one of those diets, one of your books.
In my life, I have some, I'm not going to say just women, but a lot of women in my life like to sit down at a restaurant and change everything they order. Like, this wasn't a thing when we were growing up, was it?
On the side.
no.
I'll have a Greek
swap
salad.
this out for that.
Fed on the side, no onions, extra beets, no tomatoes, take off the pepperoncinis.
It's like peanut allergies.
Men do that
If
too,
you,
Mike.
do men do that?
Men do
So
that.
I'm sure they do.
I do that.
I don't do that.
I don't.
Peter does it.
Yes,
but
I
I don't add salt or pepper.
don't eat
I
eggs.
sit down with some people who do this chronically, and I look at them. I say, "I dare you to just order something off the menu." Yep, and they start
Impossible.
sweating. They just start sweating, like,
As is?
I'm not hungry today.
Why would the chef who went to school to learn how to do this know more about this than me?
Right. I have a buddy who owns a restaurant, and that drives him crazy because he says, like, we work really hard to come up with this dish, and they want a different sauce, or they want a different noodle, or they want a different this, and he says it ruins the dishes. But listen, we're not going to solve
I went
that.
out for my mother-in-law's birthday last night. I had a steak at Capitol Grill, and I like it well done. And I always, because I read the
butterfly.
Anthony Bourdain, his book, I read what they do in the kitchen when you order something like a steak well done, and they laugh, they throw it on the floor.
They step on it.
And I always had to apologize. I go, sorry, I kind of want this well done,
I know.
medium well. And the guy's like, no problem.
You order the chicken well done, too.
I don't. Have you ever had
You-
chicken tartare or
No.
chicken
Oh.
sushi?
Are you afraid of getting sick, or
No,
do you
I don't like the
taste better?
consistency of it. I don't like
Do you order
the
it well
color
done
of it.
or medium well?
I don't eat a lot of chicken.
No, I'm
a lot
talking
of
about
bird.
steak.
Medium well, and then I'll send it back. I don't want any pink.
I
want
did
it like
medium
leather.
rare, and I want it red.
Do you get it? Do you get a butterfly?
I like meat
Do you get a
snacks.
butterfly?
I like Jacko Links, man. I like jerky. I want to work it.
Do you get a fillet or a big steak?
If I get a fillet, I get a butterfly. So it gets the middle. I don't want that pink coolness like you like. No.
I had a nanny once who.
You don't like the taste?
just
You
don't
want
like-
everything to taste
I
like
don't-
nothing?
I had a
No, I
nanny.
like a leather. I like a burned leathery taste.
I had a nanny once who ordered her steaks blue. Have you ever heard that term?
No.
Right. So she'd get a steak, and they would like 10 seconds on each side and
I've
serve
heard
it
of that.
completely raw, and it didn't look blue when you opened it, but it was like.
There's those places now that cook
Mooing.
the steak right in front of you. They have the grill out at the
Pittsburgh
table.
style, or what is it?
Yeah, and they just some people just just touch it. They'll just boom, on and off. It's like, whoa. That's
Do you like kibbe?
What?
Raw meat, kibbe.
Oh, no.
No.
No, thank you. All right. So anything else, Kevin, do you understand? Let's go back to workers' comp for a minute after that tangent. Do anything else?
So
we need?
all right. So when do you I mean, people have different pain tolerances, right? So I mean, when do you address that issue?
Okay, well, you're not getting paid for your pain. So I got to talk about Governor Schneider again because he changed the definition. It used
Is
to
it
be
Schneider
let's-
or Snyder?
Snyder.
Why are you saying Schneider?
He doesn't want to get sued.
I'm not going to use. I'm allowed to use profanity.
He's changing
Is the
the names.
FCC going to? Okay, what he did.
Is it
he,
because it rhymes?
the man
with
changed the
schmuck?
definition. You talk about pain. Pain. It's not pain. It's whether you can earn
But
your money.
but when you get out of bed in the morning and decide to go to work or not, it's about pain.
I'm getting paid or paying.
Well,
Or pay.
if I'm in pain, I'm not going to work. But
Pain.
Okay, right. Okay, that means you're disabled, but you have to have a doctor. You have to have something objectively to back up your pain, which keeps you from earning your money. In my world, you got to look and see if you can earn the money. Because if you're in pain, you can still earn your money. tough. You're not going to get paid anything. Governor Schneider made it so you used to get hurt.
Schneider.
Governor.
Let's call him Rick.
Okay, Mosquito. Governor Mosquito voice. Sorry, Governor. And I miss Governor Angler, and I hated him. But Governor Schneider made Governor Angler look like Gandhi or something. But pause there.
It's a good snippet. I think Neil's thinking
mark
that's
that.
Governor Schneider made it. If I got hurt working at my job at the restaurant, and I can't do the job at the restaurant, I'm supposed to get paid. Governor Schneider made it so.
Schneider.
Governor Schmeisel, he made it so I got to show that I can't work anywhere making the same amount of money, which is a big deal because they're always going to argue or hire someone to say that you can get a job as a paperweight, as a doorstop, as a greeter at Walmart. Even though those jobs exist, he changed it. It used to be where you got to hurt working if you can't do the job, pay you. Now it's any job, regardless of whether they exist or not. So that changes the value of everything. That changes the insurance company's attitude of not paying anybody because, by definition, no one's entitled to it. The people making the decisions about workers' comp in Michigan are not in Michigan. I'm sorry.
Keep going.
They read that and they say, "Oh, we're going to deny the claim. He's sitting in Indianapolis. We're not paying anybody."
So what year did this all switch?
I'm going to say
He was there for 8 years, right?
What's that?
Was it early in his term, or
it as it went on, the Chamber of Commerce, the big three, got together to try to change the definition, and they had hearings about this.
Well, there's a new governor now from a different party. Are there efforts being made to swing the pendulum back?
It has to be. The legislature is not a Democratic legislature, so I think that there was always efforts at trying to change that because he did have hearings. He had first responders coming. He had some real horror stories. They didn't care. They disregarded any testimony of how this is going to adversely affect people that get hurt at work, including like police officers and all that type of stuff. It didn't matter.
I think the workers' comp lobby is pretty weak.
It's pretty weak. The unions are weak.
There's not many people left doing what you do.
It's a dying breed.
It's a dying breed. And you said something interesting that I didn't understand. You said by definition, people are not entitled to anything.
Absolutely.
So what does that mean?
That means you're not looking that you're in pain and can't go to your job. You're looking at there's always something out there that you can get paid to do, regardless of whether you want to do it.
Okay, so give us a real-world example. You're a laborer building houses, doing something hard on your back and whatever, and they say, okay, your back's shot. You can't do this job,
right,
but you could sit at a desk and answer phones.
Correct.
Or you could greet at Walmart.
Really? Do you think,
is that true? Is that what you're saying?
That is absolutely true.
So if there's an alternative job.
Anywhere, any kind of job.
Then you're saying that they're not going to pay comp.
Absolutely.
Like this one, for instance.
They could do this. They can come be my co-host.
I got to add one more little tidbit to this. If to be entitled to benefits while you're disabled, you have to show that you've looked for work within your restrictions. That includes people that are on Social Security disability. That includes, by definition, people that are in comas or are paralyzed. You still have to look for work, which is the most absurd thing. And the only reason that was enacted to make it tougher for you to get your benefits, to say, well, you didn't look for work. Really, my guy's in a coma laying in bed, and he still, by definition, has to look for work within his restrictions. Okay, have his wife look for a job for him, to block the door, or to sit there, as a paperweight.
I read something interesting. I don't know if you've heard of this or not, or if it's real or not, but I heard that LinkedIn is doing some things to try and help people look for jobs or to meet those criteria that they need to look for jobs online. If they're injured, you have to. Is there a certain number of jobs you have to look for in a month or something? Or
it's pretty specific. It's reasonable. So what is reasonable? And I don't know about LinkedIn. I know about the Michigan Works thing. Mm-hmm. That's what usually people sign up for, the Michigan Works. So it's a reasonable number. I just tell people, you got to keep track in a notebook. And I have some old school people. I don't get the newspaper. I can't look at the, like Mr. Cole. I got to look at the want ads. Or my favorite, I don't have a computer. I don't have a cell phone. I have people like that.
Can you believe it in this day and age?
Absolutely.
There's not many help wanted signs on windows right now either, because the economy's pretty good. So that doesn't count.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
And I guess let's just, I think we have time for one or two more questions, Peter. First of all, if somebody's listening to this or wanting to get some advice from you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, you can call me at my phone number, telephone. If you want me to give that number?
Please just throw it out there.
Peter Woll, area code 24. You can even call collect. I don't know my 800 number.
Collect.
You can call me
collect.
collect.
Just dial 0. Do they still do that? You still collect calls?
You call
if you're not in jail or
Peter
prison?
Woll.
Is it
if
Pete
you
Wins?
fall in at work? Yeah,
Call Peter Woll if you fall.
if you fall at work.
Get a little jingle going.
Okay, Ross.
I mean, there's a lot more.
There's my ad
we work with
guy
that?
in the back. We got to get a microphone back there, Rocky. So, because I want to hear from Ross. Ross, I want you to come up with a jingle or a new ad campaign. If you're injured in a fall at work, call Peter Woll.
Excellent.
All right. So, Peter, what's your phone number?
Area code 248-352-3433.
We will make your information.
Let me repeat that number.
We will make
Maybe we'll put that down
It'll
for
be
you.
there.
pens.
What's your text? Give them your cell too.
Excuse me.
I'm just kidding.
I do not have a cell phone. I have
That is
CB.
a lie. He's a lie.
Right.
Liar.
There's a lot more to workers' comp. There is sometimes pain and suffering associated because if your injury is a result of something like a third party or you're in a car accident.
That's what I was gonna
If
ask
you're
you
in a
next.
car accident,
You are-
Then we talk to Mr. Morse's office.
All right. Let's talk about this. You're driving for work
Yes.
and you're on the job. I send somebody from here to drive to pick up something and they get in a car accident. How does that interplay with workers' comp laws?
You're going to have a bunch of different lawsuits. For your wage loss, workers' comp is primary.
What percentage does workers' comp pay of your wages?
That is 80% of your net. So you're going to figure out, depending on how many kids you have, how many hours you work, because overtime counts.
Interesting. So in my world, in no fault / PIP world, you get 85% of your gross.
Right.
So there's some math there. You must be good at math.
I'm really good at math.
Okay. Let's leave it at that.
Kinda.
So
How are you at past governors' names?
So there's a differential. Hold on.
Governor
This is important.
Milliken, though, there's a mensch. Rest in peace.
He just died.
He did.
I know.
we have a
That's why
moment of
rest in
silence
peace.
for
Yeah,
Governor
Governor Milliken was cool.
Milliken? Shh. All right, quiet. Okay. So there's a differential if you're injured in a car accident while on the job between comp will pay you most, and then you have a small differential that
That
offices like mine will help you
The
get.
vehicles are
So that's for your
responsible
pay, that's for your wage loss. Who pays for your medical bills?
Workers' comp is primary for the medical bills. Now, let's say your insurance company on your car pays it, then they'll try to get it back from workers' comp. But
Good
workers'
luck.
comp is supposed to pay. Yeah, good luck. They're supposed to pay. Now, the lady that smashes into you is negligent.
Then there's a
Then
third
we
party
talk to
case.
you,
There's a
and
third
that
par-
is pain. You
Right.
might be
That's
entitled
pain
to
and suffering. That's what we're talking about, the pain.
Right.
But then there's other benefits. If you're in a car accident on the job, you don't get something called household services. Like if you can't take out the garbage, if you can't do your laundry, if you can't make your bed, you get $20 a day. That's my world. You can't get that from workers' comp.
not covered.
So Peter and I work closely together when you're injured on the job while driving a car or truck. So that's how our offices interplay in those kind of things.
Absolutely.
I don't know how clear that is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's differentials.
But if you just if you're not in a car accident and you just trip at work or something like that, then there will be no pain and suffering. You'll be trying to get your wages back in your medical.
You're going to have pain and suffering, but you're not going to get paid,
You're not going to
for,
get paid for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever get paid for it in the world?
No, they changed the law like in 1911. You used to have to show negligence to get workers' comp, and that it was covered. But they changed it because most people, it doesn't matter how you get hurt at work.
Right.
You're supposed to get
So
covered.
you could
go
trip
back to
over
work.
your own foot at work,
You could be
and
a-
you're supposed to get workers'
You
comp.
could be an idiot, as my kids say, idiot, and do that, and like you shouldn't have, but it happened at work. It wasn't intentional. You need to get taken care of while you're
So
off
what
to
are
get
some
back.
crazy stories? Give me one or two examples of people getting hurt at work that.
Well, my favorite is the school bus driver who, I don't know if you're asking me good stories where there's fraud, where the guy.
No, but tell me what you want to tell me.
I love those. Those are my favorite.
Whenever someone gets hurt at work, they're always going to follow you around to see if you're doing physical things, which could translate into you being able to earn your wage. Flint bus driver, herniated disc, car accident, never offering me any money. And I was always wondering, why? He's really hurt. I have the medical evidence to show it. And he goes, I got the defense attorney from the insurance company, put the video on, and the guy was driving in a demolition derby. True story.
Okay, that feeds into Kevin's.
cable.
Where the hell? That just came full frickin' circle
That is
here.
one time in 31 years
Yeah.
that I've had a legitimate, besides the identical twin, whose identical twin was working and made a video. I go, and the guy's like, that's my brother. And he had an identical twin. That is the true story.
Really?
2 times. Usually these are legit people that the insurance companies don't want to pay for, and they should be paying for. And they should call me because I have a problem with that. And that's what I do.
I think on that note, I want to thank you for coming.
Thank you for asking.
This was really informative. I learned a lot. I think Kevin learned a lot.
I did.
And I I think we're going to invite you back, Peter. Would you be willing to come back?
Yeah, absolutely. Had a good time.
And your information, your contact will be somewhere, right, Neil? We're going to put it
float under
somewhere.
your name,
It's going to
Neil,
float. I'm going to attach your cell phone
Great.
number on there.
be great.
Call me on
Here.
Sunday night. Call me during dinner only.
Peter offers free
family.
consultations.
Absolutely free.
And we'll have his new jingle.
And he'll have a jingle. Ross is working on that already.
Excellent.
Done. It's done. It's in Ross's head right now. Peter,
So would you like to know your new phone number?
Absolutely. Do I have a new phone number with that?
No, but in all seriousness, Peter, I refer you, when people call my office for a workers' comp case, you're the only person I refer to because you're passionate clearly about this. We need good lawyers who are fighting this horrible, horrible law.
Yeah.
I hope for your sake and our clients' sake that the laws change while we're still practicing,
Sure.
that you get to see a change, that people can get the compensation they deserve when they're injured on the job. And I hope it happens soon.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, man. Have a good day.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. Thanks for watching Open Mic. I hope you've been enjoying the episodes. Please subscribe over here. Watch all the episodes, like the episodes, share the episodes, and subscribe. Subscribing helps me, and it helps get the word out. So do it. Enjoy the episode, share with your friends and family, and keep enjoying.